Dating an avoidant can be very difficult at times. Maybe you broke up with your avoidant partner recently. The point of this video is not to figuring out too much about their psychology. There's plenty of videos online, including mine, where you can learn about that. What I want you to learn today is understand what it tells about yourself. Because the decisions we make when it comes to our romantic relationships with our primary attachment figure will inform us about who we are really, about our insecurities. If we don't know those insecurities, if we're not aware of those triggers, it's impossible to build a secure relationship, because that's the point. The point is to have healthy, secure relationship with our partner, where we feel loved, where we feel secure, where we feel there's a future with this person. If you're not clear with those things, and you date people who are avoidant, then it's very easy to put the blame on them. So here, let's figuring out together the things we can control, the things we can learn, are part of responsibility in the dynamic of the relationship. This is not about getting back with your ex. This is not about healing the wounds necessarily. It's about understanding. Insights first, and then you take action, you implement things. So you have to understand that relationships, sometimes, most of the times I should say, are usually kind of a mirror of who we are. They reflect certain insecurities that we developed at a young age with different relationships with our caregivers. So when you're dating an avoidant, what it creates, the dynamic it creates with an anxious partner, again, it's really about the unmet emotional needs, and it will be the same for avoidant partners. There could be around the deep need for reassurance, the fear of rejection or abandonment, that sense that you're not good enough and therefore you need to fight for their attention, you need to be clingy, otherwise they will leave. If you learn about that, you will heal and grow. Maybe you're still together. The point is to use that information and figuring out and have a plan of how can I use this insight, how can I understand my decision-making process. So next time, whether it's again in the context of this relationship with another partner, with the same partner, this time I know it's because of my attachment, I know it's because of my insecurities, and maybe I made the wrong decision falling in love with that person. We will decide together. Every single case is different, but I want to give you the tools and the insights so you can make the right decisions for you. First thing you need to assess is your tolerance for emotional unavailability. Ask and be clear, and maybe take some notes while you listen to this video. Do you settle for less than you deserve emotionally? So you might be asking, okay, hold on. Yeah, but I feel I'm unreasonable. I think I'm asking too much. These are questions you need to ask yourself. You need to compare. You need to discuss with a therapist, with someone who can help you. But you have to understand at the end of the day that some of your needs are valid. Some of your needs are realistic. And it's important to be in a relationship where your partner, it's very hard to meet your partner's need all of the time, but your partner understands and accepts those needs. He or she is not dismissing those needs. That's why we say dismissive, avoidant, they dismiss things. It's not important, because if I was in your shoes, I wouldn't feel this way. That's the wrong way of analyzing relationships, is to say, if I was in my partner's shoes, I wouldn't feel this way. Yeah, because if you were in your partner's shoes, you would use your internal system, your operating system. So if you're anxious situation, you will react differently than someone avoidant. The thing is, and it's the same in any relationship, we test patience, we test the boundaries. We want to know where's the limit. So it's very much unconscious. We don't do it on purpose. And that's why you'll find a lot of comments on my videos that don't be near an avoidant, they break your heart, etc. Because in a way, people feel that they are narcissistic people, they do it on purpose, etc. It's just who they are, it's just how they were sort of raised, how they grew up, how they consider attachment. It's not necessarily some form of manipulation to make you suffer. What you have to understand is ask yourself why you stayed if those needs weren't met. The point here is figuring out whether, because that's the thing, and 30 seconds on this. People who have an anxious attachment style are usually, it doesn't make sense in a way. It's not logic, but that's what they do. They are attracted by inconsistency. The inconsistency, a little bit like a slot machine, creates a form of addiction. Because it's inconsistent, you are craving the reward. That's probably something you had when you were younger, and that's something that feels familiar. And with an avoidant pattern, because they're not consistent, you have highs very high, lows very lows, and you're attracted by the difference between the highs and the lows. And that's why some anxiously attached people, they are not attracted to secure people because they are predictable. They perceive them as boring. I have cases, a lot of people have friends like this, where you introduce them to a very nice guy, extremely secure, transparent, who will call them, text them, and they would feel it's too boring. There's no excitement. I don't want this. And they will fall for guys who, I say guys because I have a friend in mind, but who are inconsistent, who travels a lot, who just text them when they're around, what they need, on their own terms, etc., etc. So it's very important to take a step back and figuring out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And maybe being with someone inconsistent works for you, and that's fine. I'm not judging. There's no right or wrong relationships. The right relationship is based on your own terms. So I'm not dictating the terms, but you have to be clear about those terms. That's why also it's important to reflect on this idea of self-worth. Because usually when you accept something that you're not completely okay with, it's because there's an element of low self-worth. When you feel deep inside that you're not good enough, right? That you need validation, again, the avoidant will reinforce this idea. He or she pushes back. That means that I need to prove them. I need to fight in this relationship. Because the baseline is like, if I'm just myself, I won't be accepted. So I need to be exceptional. I need to be someone else. I need to upgrade myself if I want to be loved, if I want to be accepted. So again, it's the case of, it's not the role of the avoidant is only avoidant. The thing is, you're deciding, and it's very much unconscious, to play that game. Their inconsistency, their distance, their silence fuel those insecurities. If you're not aware of those and you play the game and you enter this dance, which is very unhealthy, somehow toxic in some cases, then you're going to feel triggered. Then you're going to, again, create more instability and feel not loved, feel that you're in the wrong relationships, feel that this person is manipulating, etc., etc. So that's why it's important to reflect on, okay, what about my self-worth? Why do I accept those things? It's important, and that's why I do that with all my clients after a breakup, is to, first of all, cultivate self-love. You can't be in a secure relationship if you don't love yourself. It sounds a bit cliche, but I see that every single day. If you don't have the confidence, high self-esteem, if you don't nurture self-love, you can't be in a healthy relationship, because that would mean that every time your partner is not meeting your needs, you'll be, okay, you can trespass, I will accept that, you can cross those boundaries because I don't matter. So you start and you need to build that relationship from a place of strength, which is quite hard after a breakup, for instance, or quite hard if you have an anxious attachment style and you feel like, yeah, but the relationship is at all costs. This is more important than any of my needs. Relationship comes first. No, relationship doesn't come first. You come first, then the relationship will, in a way, help you to feel a certain kind of connection, a certain sense of fulfillment, but it's on your own terms. And some of the things are non-negotiables. Also, the thing that I do with my clients is like listing out the things that are non-negotiables. Sometimes I say, like, what's the ideal relationship? I know the ideal relationship doesn't exist, but let's picture it. Let's, write it down What would be the ideal relationship? And then you look at your current relationships or the relationship you're trying to save. You overlap them and you see whether there's like 80% overlap, 20% overlap. If it's less than half, ask yourself, okay, but why? And then you can have other answers like, yeah, but I'm too old. Yeah, but it's the only person I met. These are fair points, but that's not based on who you are and what you need. It's based on the constraint of your environment. And you need to be okay with that. Am I okay feeling disrespectful, being in a relationship that doesn't meet my need because I feel he or she is the only person I would date in my town? But then, if it's a frustrating relationship, don't blame yourself if you're not happy in this relationship. So it's like, again, being quite aware of those things and drawing the line. Now, this is very important. You deserve consistent care and connection. You should never feel the need to fight for attention. Maybe deep inside, that's how you perceive relationship. That's how relationship needs to be. This is not a healthy way of looking at relationships. You should stop, and I know it's easier said than done, being obsessed by the feelings, by how this person makes you feel. Because the feelings are just a sign of the chemistry of the emotions. Sometimes it's about the inconsistency that we discussed. Sometimes it's because of the space that they're asking for. And we have those tangled emotions and we associate passion, inconsistency with love. It's very different. What you have to assess is whether this person is showing up, whether this person is trying to understand your world. If you have strong feelings for the person, but you don't feel safe with that person, ask yourself, first of all, you need to feel safe. It's not first of all, you need both. You need to feel safe and you need to feel loved or have feelings for the person. You can't be in a healthy, happy, nurturing relationships if you don't have those two things. And usually the reason you have a hard time grieving a relationship or finding a partner is because you're obsessed about the feelings. Feelings are important, but if you don't have this sense of safety and security, they are worthless because you will stay in relationships that are not working for you. So, assessing the safety of the relationship. Don't be obsessed by the feelings. Never fight for their attention. You should never be in a relationship where you have to fight for their attention. And ask and accept once and for all that you deserve consistent care and connection. That's the bare minimum. If you don't get it, walk away. If they don't understand it, walk away. If they don't make any effort to repair, walk away. Obviously, I don't know any perfect partners or any perfect relationships. The point is not that in the past, they couldn't care or they didn't understand. The point is what are they doing to repair? So let's discuss quickly about the role in attachment dynamics. Ask yourself the question, how your attachment, how your anxiety influence your reactions. Because it's always a chicken and egg thing. Maybe he or she pulled back because you were anxious, because you were clingy, because you pressure them. The anxious avoidant trap intensifies. The more anxious we are, the more avoidant they become. Right now, it's really looking at your side of the relationship and figuring out the patterns that you created, that you started. Again, I'm not saying your partner is not responsible for any of the dynamic, but right now, the only thing you can control is what you do. It's what you say. Is the healing journey that you're on. And that's why I feel that when you develop a secure attachment, that empowers you. Because you have this vision, you have this objective, you see clearly, that's how it should look like. This is how it should look like from my end. The whole point of creating a dynamic is, unfortunately, with the anxious avoidant dynamic, what I see is working. and maybe you feel frustrated. That's usually how it is. But it starts with you. You're watching the video. You're trying to learn. And your role, if you want to fix things or if you want to meet the right partner, is to create that secure base, is to work on your insecurities and end up with a win-win situation. It's not about compromise, not fighting for attention. It's like, this is who I am. These are the things that I accept. These are the things that I don't accept. These are the things that I need. Communicating clearly about those things. Understanding your partner's avoidance. So somehow, sometimes they need some space. It's fine. It's not about you. But figuring out whether this need for space is not a lack of intimacy, doesn't prevent you from connecting with them. These are the questions you need to ask yourself. And they're not about you. It's about them as well. So really understanding your role, pave the way, start the process, and see how it works. Now, boundaries is a big thing, obviously. That's why we need to start with self-love. That's why we need to start being clear about what we want. As I discussed before, avoidant, they will push the limit. The fact that they push the limit is not bad. It's normal. The point is how you respond to that. Do you ignore the red flags? Do you talk about those things? The point of setting boundaries is not to break the relationship, is to ensure that you end up in a relationship that works for you. Is to end up in a relationship where you feel respected. Perhaps something you need to learn by saying no. I don't accept that. I don't want you to treat me like this. I'm not okay with you saying those things. I'm not okay you doing those things. The more you say no, the more you draw the line, that first of all on your end creates a form of empowerment. And on their end, they understand this is the limit. If I want to play by the rule, because it's kind of a game, if I want to play by the rule, I need to accept. And yes, maybe they might not accept, but if they don't, then you know they're not the right partner. And again, we're back to the feelings things. It's not because you have feelings for that person. If they don't accept the rules, this is more important. This is where you feel safe. So boundaries are way, way more important than feelings in a way, if you want to assess the relationship. The problem is not assessing whether you love that person. It's irrelevant. The problem is to assess whether this person can make you feel safe and secure, and therefore create the healthy, resilient relationship. Because if they don't make you feel safe, it doesn't matter if you love them. Down the line, you guys will break up. Down the line, you'll be unhappy and unsatisfied. So respect is key. Trust is key. Boundaries are the way to establish those things. Now, very important. You can't force someone to change. You will never be your partner's therapist. The problem with avoidance, and I'm not going to lie, is that they are more resistant to change. They are more resistant to personal development. In a way, sometimes they have this rationale of, I'm the island, I'm self-sufficient, so there's no problem with me. If you see this kind of fixed mindset with your partner, it's going to be very hard for you to reconcile the relationship. This growth element, again, we're talking about you. That's the only thing you can control and that you have to take care of. Ask yourself whether you try to fix things. Sometimes people who have an anxious attachment style, they like to be the fixer. They have a problem. This person has a problem. I need to be the fixer. I need to heal them. I need to help them. I need to take care of them. That's not your role. Okay? Your role is to take care of yourself. That's it. That's the only thing that matters. If you take care of yourself, if you establish the right set of boundaries, if you communicate clearly about your needs, then you're dating someone mature and adult. They have to also do a form of work. They also have to show interest, to be curious, to challenge how they do and see things, because otherwise you'll end up where you left it if you broke up. You'll end up dissatisfied, unsatisfied. So that's very important. It's not about, okay, I'm doing the work, I'm watching videos, I'm going through therapy, therefore I expect them to do the same. Yes, you expect them to do the same, but you can't do the work for them. That's very important. And if they decide, this is the way it is, I'm not going to change, then draw your own conclusions. Sometimes what I see is that when you break up, the dumpy, let's say the dumpy is the anxious partner, he will feel like, oh yeah, I'm not good enough. They broke up because for whatever reason, but my self-worth is like low, is at the basement. But as you work on yourself, you feel like, oh yeah, but now I know so much about me and I expect them to grow with me. What I find with people who don't end up together, my clients who don't end up together, there's a realization of like, I don't want to be with them anymore because I see clearly that they're not doing the work that I'm doing, that I'm not investing. And I don't want to be with someone like that. And that's very empowering because, again, it's really about what do you want? That's way more important than the feelings you have. And usually when you do that work of growth, the feelings will start to diminish because you're going to lose respect, admiration for that person. It's not that you're going to feel better than them, but you feel on a different set of needs, on a different set of, in a way, another planet. You'll feel like I'm progressing, he or she is stagnating. Therefore, we have nothing in common anymore. We can't connect anymore. So that's a huge shift, and I really hope you get to that shift if you want to heal, if you want to move on with this relationship. Now, it's a bit of a cliche. Obviously, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The point here, and if you've been drawn to this video, maybe there's something you can learn from this breakup. Maybe there's something you can learn dating this avoidant person that sometimes you just want to smash because they're not listening, because they don't want to open up, because they shy away from conflict. Those insights will help you have the right relationships in the future. Perhaps it's things you didn't know before because you dated secure people and he or she made those insecurities resurface. So be it. The point is like, once you work through those insecurities, you're guaranteed that you're going to have a better relationship in the future. That's a guarantee. 100% sure with all of my clients. They're not always getting back together because sometimes at the end of the process, they feel like, I just don't want to get back with them. That's not worth it. But all of my clients, they are happy that they have a better set of tools to create the right relationships. That's why right now, after this video, pause, or right now, reflect what you really want from a relationship. What you have to do is what I call the secure base. I mentioned that throughout the video. Some of my clients, they tell me like, if only I knew about attachment style before, things would be so different. Right? Okay, that's never too late. You're here. By changing the way you react, by changing your behaviors, if you're an anxious attached person, you will create a secure base. So you will create the right environment and assess whether your partner would react in a different way. If you don't do that, there's no change and things will remain the same and the dynamic will remain the same and you'll eventually break up or be in the same situation you're in right now. You have to start with the right environment, that secure base. Then, once you create that secure base, that avoidant partner will feel less triggered. He will or she will stop deactivating. And this is how you can create intimacy, develop intimacy with an avoidant partner. I've done it. People with avoidant attachment can do it. It's not a question of whether, it's just a question of motivation, interest. If you don't see any motivation, if you're the only one doing the work, that's not the right relationship for you. But you have to start creating the right environment. If you want to know how I do it with my clients, you can comment secure based and I'll send you some details. Any other questions? Don't hesitate to let me know. Take care of yourself, guys. Bye.